Recap Reviews.
Hey there! If you clicked on this video, I just wanted to let you know this is part 2 of a 3-part series where I take a look at every single game on the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection for the Switch. Part 1 should be in the little icon in the far right corner, but if you don't care about that, let's get down to Super Mario Sunshine. I mentioned this earlier, but before actually making these reviews, I hadn't actually played Sunshine all the way through. I think I did see some gameplay footage and some reviews here and there throughout the years, and I made a note to actually scout it out if I ever crossed paths with it. Although, there were 2 major problems. 1, I didn't have a GameCube, and 2, have you seen the prices this game goes for? It's insane! And after all these years, I finally get to play it. And how did I find it? Well, let's just get the setup out of the way, shall we? The game starts off in an airplane with Mario, Peach and Toadsworth going on vacation to Aldalfino, a tropical paradise if you will. But before the plane even lands, there's trouble afoot, as the runway is covered in. And of course, it's Mario's job to sort it out, which kicks off the game quite nicely. It also gives me an opportunity to try out these new controls. And especially compared to Mario 64, these controls are excellent. Responsive, fluid and very intuitive, and the camera is exceptional, as it works exactly how you would like it. It's not like that awkward camera in Mario 64. Further down the runway, I find this strange device.
Power up complete. Thank you for purchasing this item from GAD Science Incorporated. Preparing to register customer information. Scanning and classifying subject data. Subject identified as Mario, resident of the Mushroom Kingdom. Data storage complete. I am Flood, a flash liquidizer ultra dowsing device. I hope to be of assistance.
So Flood here can blast water and help Mario float in midair, or mid-water, which is a cool addition to Mario's moveset. And after scanning Mario, in the far left corner there's footage of Mario 1, World, and even 64, which is a really nice touch. So with Flood, we start cleaning up the runway, but all of a sudden this huge gloppy piranha plant attacks us. Oh dear. He's pretty easy to take out though, just spray his mouth with water and dodge his bites. Once he's cleared out, the runway terraforms and produces a shiny looking object called a shine sprite. I'm guessing this is going to be this game's equivalent of the Power Stars. That's cool and all, but how did this happen in the first place? And before we even have time to take a breath, Mario gets arrested. So, as it turns out, a shadowy imposter is covering the island in this paint-like goo, causing the shine sprites to vanish and shroud the whole island in unnatural darkness. So, essentially, Mario has to pay for a crime he didn't commit, as he isn't allowed to leave the island until everything is fixed, then track down the shadowy imposter and save the island. And so far, this is a very strong start. Good controls and an actual narrative. So far, I'm really invested in the story and the game and just everything. It's a really good start. So the game starts off and it's pretty similar to Mario 64 in terms of gameplay structure. You go into different levels which are divided into episodes this time round while using Aldalfino as a hub, kind of like Peach's castle. From here you collect shine sprites after pulling off tricky platforming challenges unique to each world and beating bosses. Only this time around you have Flood helping you out. While using the triggers you can lock Mario in place to make it easier to run and aim. Now for my playthrough I used the Switch Pro controller, and although the triggers felt fine to use, I think they would feel slightly better with the original GameCube controller. I know the Switch can take these exclusive ones for Smash Brothers, and it got me wondering why you couldn't use those for Sunshine. The game still even has those button prompts from the GameCube. You can't not use it. But despite that, it still feels like an oddly natural addition to Mario's moveset. I do have a minor complaint though. The long jump was removed and replaced with this penguin-like forward dive. You can even spray the ground and dive across it like a slip and slide, which is really fun, but it's way too situational to be useful. They did keep in the backward somersault for extra height, I just don't understand why you have to spray out water each time you want to use it. You do have this strange spin jump or this other jump where you run forward then run back for extra height. They're cool, but they're not as controllable as before.
But those are nitpicks. The controls overall are still very good.
So, as you can see, Mario 64 is filled to the brim with interesting worlds and solid gameplay. And what's better, it's portable again as it's on the Switch. However, that's the game as it's...
But still, it's a great addition as in Mario 64. Apart from unlocking more rooms, it didn't really change the castle all that visually.
Speaking of which, I think I neglected to mention how gorgeous this game looks. To be honest, I don't know if the remaster version looks any better or worse than the original on the GameCube, but all the models and environments are so vibrant and distinct, with a buttery smooth performance, it's amazing. I also noticed in the background of many stages you can see other set pieces of other levels. This really helps the whole island feel like a proper world, where in Mario 64 all the worlds really didn't have anything to do with each other, except for those rare times where they linked back to the castle, which is all tied together with a solid soundtrack. It's not as varied as 64, but it's upbeat, relaxing, and it fits the tropical island aesthetic very well. But oh no, Peach gets kidnapped by that Shadow Mario and we have to go save her. He leads us to Piranha Park and the Shadow Mario reveals himself to be Bowser Jr. with this strange paintbrush he says he got from this strange old man, and he also thinks that Peach is his mother.
Mama Peach? I'm your mama?
When did Bowser have a kid? The last time I saw him, I blasted him into some smithereens.
I'm only joking. This happens to be Bowser Jr.'s debut. Strangely, after the Koopa Kids were introduced several games earlier, and we fight him in this giant Mecha Bowser suit with GameCube controller ports on his chest for some reason. But despite beating him, he gets away with Peach. Great.
And from here, the plot flatlines. Now, my first impressions with this game were very positive, but in my opinion, this is where the game starts to go downhill.
This isn't because from here on in there's no more cutscenes and you're silently told to collect more shine sprites, despite the fact we now have evidence that Mario was innocent the entire time. I'm talking more from a gameplay perspective.
Now, the one thing that ruins it all for me is the fact that you have to beat up until episode 7 in order to progress and beat the game. In 64, we had around 15 levels, where in Sunshine, we have 7 if you don't count Corona Mountain and also the Plaza. Where I take issue is not by the fact that we have less levels, it's the fact that it takes away your freedom of progression. With the way the game is, you can't tackle any sprite or any level in the order that you want. Really, it's not about how many sprites you have, it's what sprites you have.
Although I don't like it, I can see exactly why they would make it this way. In Mario 64, you only had to collect 70 stars in order to beat the game, and with an extra 50 stars were necessary for 100% completion. Once casual players beat the game, most of them wouldn't bother gathering the rest of the stars. From that perspective, it would be a waste of time to develop extra levels that most players wouldn't bother playing, and it makes more sense to have them collect a set amount of sprites in a smaller amount of levels.
Which makes sense to me, as it will give the developers more time to make a more consistent set of challenging and interesting sprites to collect. Don't get me wrong, once you beat the game, there still are some sprites you can go after, like the 100 coin one, the 8th episode one, and the blue coin one. All 240 of them.
Where you need to use them in order to buy these sprites off this Tom Nook wannabe who doesn't care that the island is in danger.
By taking away our freedom of progression and giving us mediocre endgame content, I have to ask, why is the main campaign filled with so much repetitive level design?
Now, I'm not talking about the Red Coins ones or even the Io Taitismo ones. I actually like those. Collect 8 of those and a shine sprite appears. It helps you memorize the ins and outs of the stage, and they're really challenging. I'm more talking about the boss and Shadow Mario encounters. If a stage has a boss, it's more than likely you're gonna see it twice. They aren't bad, but they're pretty easy, if a little gruesome, as you have to force feed Petey Piranha water, then force him to vomit it back up before he dissolves into compost. Or with Gooper Blooper, where you have to tear his limbs off, then once he's stuck, you have to tear his lips off them, send him flying. Jeez, these look like the glory kills from the modern Doom games.
It's bad enough doing it once, but the game makes you do it twice. It's quite horrible.
As for Shadow Mario, at the episode 7 mark, he appears in a stage and you have to squirt him. It's not hard, and the game never tells you that you have to do this to, progress in the game. Isn't he supposed to be with Peach in this part of the story? He even randomly appears in Aldolfino with a random attachment to Flood, which is fun to use and it can help you find some optional sprites.
However, those two are minor grievances compared to any of the secret of the whatever levels.
In these sorts of levels, Mario falls down a hole and Shadow Mario takes your flood pack away, and you're forced to go for this very Mario Galaxy-esque level, with a set of tricky platforming challenges over a bottomless pit.
But I will admit, I do like some of these levels as they actually test your skill with Mario's moveset, and this music is a jam. All except for one level, which is infamous and easily the worst level that I've ever played in a platformer. Piata's Village Secret of the Underside. Appropriately named, because this level definitely came out of someone's underside.
This is completely dreadful. Okay, the way it works is... oh God, how do I even explain this to you? In order to get through the level, you have to approach these cretins known as the Chuckster, who have been banished to this dimension, and they're supposed to throw you across or above these platforms to get to the sprite.
But most of the time, they just throw you off the cliff.
Long live the king.
And after crawling up from the abyss for the millionth time, I eventually got the sprite, because without it, I couldn't have reached episode 7 in Piata Village to beat the game. Screw this game, and screw this level especially.
That singular level was awful, and I think it gave me more trouble than anything Mario 64 gave me. I also had grievances with that Sandbird and also that stupid Pachinko level, or that cryptic part even, in Rico Harbor, where you have to use Yoshi to spray these fishes so they become platforms, I think. But none of them hold a candle to the scum and the infamy of the Chuckster, and may his name live on in infamy for being one of the worst things that humanity has ever produced.
So now we have enough shine sprites to unlock Corona Mountain and stop Bowser Jr., at least when he's not running around for no reason. And after passing through a lake of lava with surgical precision, we head upwards.
The water's great, hey Junior?
Wait, Bowser has a voice? And he's in a hot tub?
I get that he's on vacation, but Bowser has had no presence whatsoever up until now. Let's just hope his fight is at least fun.
No, it's not. All you gotta do is boost up, slam down these 5 points of the bath, and you win.
Absolutely pathetic. Say what you want about the final fight with Bowser in 64, but at least he had presence, and at least the fights were, actually challenging.
And so, after the fight, Flood breaks down, but instantly gets repaired in the next scene because why not? And we end with a scene where Bowser explains to his son that Peach is not his mother, and to be fair, it's a nice scene.
Difficult to tell you about Princess Peach.
I know, she's not really my mama. Someday, when I'm bigger, I wanna fight that Mario again.
That's my boy. Well put, son. The Royal Koopa line is as strong as ever. But for now, let's just rest a while.
And with that, I beat Sunshine, but not 100%. And since I did 100% Mario 64, I think it's only fair I give Sunshine the same courtesy. I may live to regret this, you know.
Well, don't get your hopes up, as it's a singular image at the very end which says, "Have a relaxing vacation."
I'm not even angry, just disappointed. And that's how I feel playing this game for the first time. Now, it's not a bad game, just maybe let me make that clear. It's just, compared to its predecessor, it takes a few steps forward, but equally, it takes a few steps back. Maybe on a replay, I'd be a bit more positive towards it, but as it stands, this is my least favorite game on the collection. Do you know something? Saying that out loud, I hate being negative like this. I really do. But it's how I feel about the game. Maybe it's because I'm not as nostalgic as other people are towards it, or maybe I'm not even that good at the game. But I stand by what I said. I'm sorry. And on that sour note, let's move on to the final game in the collection, Super Mario Galaxy. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the final video. This has been a real trip making all these videos in like a short space of time. I feel so more productive and so much more motivated to make more videos. This is great, and it's great. It gives me good filming practice and everything. And if you're watching out there and you've made it this far, I want to thank you personally. And I'll see you in the next one. It may take me a few weeks to make the Galaxy review, so catch you later.